Hello, Patriots. I'm Lee Watts, and this is Patriot Point, your source for news from a conservative, Christian, and common sense point of view. Well, this coming Tuesday, our nation is going to be celebrating our national birth certificate of the Declaration of Independence this July 4th. So I thought it would be good for us to take some time to actually look at what the Declaration actually says and the principles in it. So here's part of the study on biblical principles of the Declaration of Independence. Now, some people wonder, why should we even study the Declaration of Independence? I mean, it's 247 years old. We're under the Constitution right now. When you look at the history books, the Founding Fathers let us know that the Declaration is the principles upon which America is founded. This is what Americans believe in, and then the Constitution is how we are going to apply those principles. If we do not have a proper understanding of the principles of the Declaration of Independence, then we will never properly understand, interpret, or apply the Constitution. That's why it is vital to understand this. John Quincy Adams, our sixth president, said, "The Declaration of Independence was the platform upon which the Constitution was erected. The principles proclaimed in the Declaration are embodied in the Constitution." The Constitution itself dates itself from the Declaration of Independence. In Article 7 of the U.S. Constitution, the way that it ends is in these words: "And in the independence of the United States of America the 12th, because this was the 12th year since the Declaration was written. Well, when they decided to declare independence, Congress formed a committee of 5 people. The most notable members of this committee were John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin. And at first they thought, well, maybe Benjamin Franklin should write it. He's the senior man. He's known as being a wordsmith. But they were afraid he was going to slip a joke in there, and it was too important to slip a joke in. So that's why they decided to go with either Adams or Jefferson. And Benjamin Franklin, he probably would have. After all, he was known for saying, "I wake up each morning, grab the morning newspaper, then look at the obituary page. If my name is not on it, I get up." So, yeah, Franklin was probably not the best choice as the writer. And when it comes to this famous picture of Benjamin Franklin, doesn't he always look like you just took his parking space? Well, in the original draft of the Declaration of Independence, Congress wound up taking 25% of it out before they actually approved it. So you realize a quarter of it is probably have never even read it, because in the original Declaration of Independence, it says all men are created equal and we are getting rid of slavery because all men are created equal. However, there were 2 states that said, no, we want that slavery part taken out. And it was Benjamin Franklin. When he signed the Declaration of Independence, he said these words: "Gentlemen, we must now all hang together, or surely we will all hang separately." And they knew we're going to have all 13 colonies in order to actually win this war. And it was the colonies of North Carolina and Georgia which insisted that anti-slavery part be removed. And that's why it was taken out. But this is that part. These are the original words in the original Declaration talking about getting rid of slavery. It says, "He," that's referring to King George, "he has waged cruel war against human nature itself, violating its most sacred rights to life and liberty in the persons of a distant people who never offended him, captivating and carrying them into slavery in another hemisphere. He is determined to keep an open market where men should be bought and sold. He has prostituted his negative for suppressing every legislative attempt to prohibit or to restrain this execrable commerce." Execrable meaning detestable, abominable, really, really bad. So they're saying slavery is wrong and we're not going to have it. That was the original intent in the Declaration of Independence. Now let's look at a biblical principle that's concerning slavery. And we can see this from the book of Exodus, chapter number 21 and verse number 16, which says, "And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death." So the Bible says very clear on slavery. You're not supposed to take slaves. In fact, when the Hebrews were sent to the promised land, God never told them to take any slaves. He said, you drive out the people who are there. Now, of course, they didn't obey God and they wound up taking slaves, but that was never God's instructions, not the biblical intent. And the first slaves in America, by the way, were not people taken over from Africa. The first slaves brought to the Americas were a bunch of white people. Yes, it was white Irish slaves, people who were criminals or rebels to the king, troublemakers. They were captured and literally sold into slavery in the Americas. And white slavery was in place from that day all the way up until the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, so some people think, well, the founding fathers are a bunch just of rich white guys. Well, that's not true at all. We have here Samuel Adams. He was so poor. One of our founding fathers, he did not even own a suit, and they had to take up a collection for him. When he got elected to Congress, he had to borrow somebody else's horse in order to actually ride in on Congress. Thomas Jefferson was so poor, in 1774, he inherited his father-in-law's debts. That was the custom at that day. And he went into more than $100,000 worth of debt at that time. When he was president, he got paid $25,000 a year. And in that, he had to pay all of the White House staff out of that and pay for all the White House events. The state did not take up the price for all of that. And he ended his career. When he left politics, he was greatly in debt. In today's dollars, it'd be about $2 million in debt. And they say when Jefferson left the White House and political life, he left with his pockets empty, but his hands clean. And that's the problem. We got people in politics nowadays, their pockets are full and their hands are dirty. But when we look at all of the rights and things that are mentioned in the Declaration, things that are wrong in this world, the reason we're declaring war, the rights that we have, every single one of those was in a printed sermon that can be found before the year 1763. Which means the Declaration of Independence is simply a summary of the sermons that the Founding Fathers had heard preached from American pulpits. Well, the outline of the Declaration of Independence really says, this is a breakup letter. We're breaking up with you for all of these reasons. You're bad for us. Usually when you break up with somebody, you say, oh, it's not you, it's me. Well, in this breakup letter, we say, no, it's not me, it's you, King George. It's you, England. And now let's actually read the breakup letter. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. Now we see here in the introduction is talking about the laws of nature and nature's God. It is saying these are rights that are given to you naturally. These are rights that God has given. Notice the brilliance of the Declaration. It doesn't say anything here about the rights of Americans. It is saying these are the rights of humans everywhere. They all have these rights. Benjamin Franklin put it this way. He said, freedom is not a gift bestowed upon us by other men, but a right that belongs to us by the laws of God and nature. Notice what it went on to say in the preamble. It said, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The key part right there, all men are created equal. Now, what can we learn from this little part right here? Well, one, the Founding Fathers believe that there is a Creator, again with a capital C, a proper name. There is a God. Again, the original intent was to abolish slavery. The biblical principle behind that is in Revelation 20, verse number 12, which says, and I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life, and the dead were judged. So we see here, under the law, everyone is judged and seen the same under God's law. And because of that, man's law should be the same. I hope you've been enjoying this study into the biblical principles of the Declaration of Independence. We only had time to go through the first half of the preamble. There's so much more of the Declaration to go. It'd take almost 45 minutes to do it all, and we don't want to take that much time in the program. If you'd like to have this entire presentation for your church, your patriot group, your county political party, I'm happy to come out and to do those. Just send me an email at lee.watts.kentucky@gmail.com. We can arrange to come out and to give this presentation to your group in its entirety. So this 4th of July, go out there, celebrate, blow up your own little piece of America with some fireworks, but be safe about it. And until next week, this is Lee Watts reminding you that liberty is not a spectator sport.